I feel like Korean pharmacy skincare absolutely exploded overnight. 1 minute everybody was talking about glass skin and layering toners, and then suddenly my entire TikTok feed became pharmacy skincare. PDRN creams, salmon DNA ampoules, post-procedure recovery products, these very clinical looking Korean brands talking about skin regeneration and molecular size. And one brand I kept seeing over and over and over and truly went viral during this whole trend is Dr.Reju-All, especially their PDRN line, who are sponsoring today's video. And honestly, at first, I thought this was just another TikTok skincare trend that was going to completely burn out in about 3 weeks' time. Because that's usually what happens now, isn't it? One ingredient goes viral, every brand launches their own version of it, people overhype it to death, then everyone suddenly decides it never worked in the first place. But then I remembered this is Korean skincare. This is kbeauty, and kbeauty has been trending for years. I've been talking about it for over a decade now, and the more I looked into this whole Korean pharmacy skincare category, the more interesting I actually found it. Because I don't think this trend is just about PDRN, which I think is what everybody thinks it is. I think it says a lot about where people are mentally with skincare right now, and Dr.Reju-All is actually a really good example of that. The brand was built by doctors and pharmacists who basically believed the skincare industry had become too trend focused and disconnected from actual skin concerns, which, let's be honest, isn't really that much of a controversial statement anymore, because skincare online has become exhausting. Every ingredient now gets treated like either a miracle or a scam. Brands launch products based on what's trending on TikTok rather than whether the ingredient actually makes sense in the formula. You constantly see products marketed around giant percentages because consumers have been trained to think higher percentage automatically means a better product. And I actually found Dr.Reju-All's whole lab notes philosophy really interesting, because a huge part of the messaging is basically the industry became more focused on marketing ingredients rather than understanding skin. And that's exactly how I'm feeling right now too. I'm feeling pretty aligned with this brand right now. Obviously, every brand positions themselves as the brand that's finally doing skincare properly. So I'm not saying we should blindly accept every bit of marketing language here, but I do think they've tapped into something people are already frustrated by. Especially this idea that skincare products are often sold without proper explanation anymore. Which sounds really stupid, but one thing the brand talks about a lot is how products have become optimized for mass distribution rather than actual guidance. Products explained through promotion and hype rather than ingredients, skin function, or who the product is actually for. And I agree, I have been saying this. This is my frustration with not just the skincare world, but the kbeauty world right now. As somebody who as I said, has been using kbeauty for over a decade, whilst it's gaining popularity and that's great, I don't necessarily love the way it's changing or where it's going. But Korean pharmacy skincare feels much more rooted in this idea of what does the skin actually need? And I think that's probably why this category became so popular so quickly. But also, people love and trust Korean skincare and beauty innovation. And Korean pharmacy skincare sits in that kind of very interesting space between cosmetic skincare and clinical skincare. Especially in Korea, pharmacies often play a much bigger role in skincare culture than they do in a lot of Western countries. So it makes sense that a lot of these pharmacy-led brands focus heavily on skin recovery and maintaining skin quality over time. And that's probably why PDRN became such a huge ingredient within this category specifically. Now, obviously PDRN is one of those ingredients where the internet has become slightly intense, shall we say? If you somehow haven't heard about PDRN yet, PDRN stands for this word that I cannot say and I have attempted 5 times to say, usually derived from salmon DNA, which still sounds ridiculous every single time I say it, but PDRN itself isn't actually some random TikTok invention. It's been studied for years in regenerative medicine and wound healing settings, particularly in injectable treatments. The important distinction though is injectable PDRN versus topical PDRN, because I do think some brands want to blur that line a little bit too much sometimes, and serum obviously isn't functioning in the same way as an injectable treatment. The skin barrier exists for a reason, so while some of the early research around PDRN is definitely interesting, especially around wound healing and skin recovery pathways, the research around topical cosmetic PDRN is still developing developing. And really, I think that's the fairest way to talk about it. Not saying that PDRN applied topically is completely useless, but also not this cream regenerates your face, right? And that's actually something I appreciate about Dr.Reju-All when I looked more closely at the formulations. The brand talks a lot about purity, concentration, stability, molecular size, and what they consider true PDRN using salmon-derived sodium DNA. Now, obviously that's part of the brand's own research philosophy and positioning, but I do think it's interesting because they're approaching PDRN more like a formulation discussion rather than just throwing salmon DNA on packaging for marketing, which a lot of brands are doing nowadays. So let's talk about the advanced PDRN rejuvenating cream, because this doesn't really read like one of those gimmicky ingredient dusting products that we're seeing everywhere. This is actually just a very solid Korean moisturizer focused on hydrating and barrier support first. And I've been using this on and off for about a year now, I believe. You got glycerin high up in the formula, so hydrating, bouncy, dimethicone too for that silky feel, niacinamide, panthenol, multiple forms of hyaluronic acid, allantoin, and betaine. Honestly, if you remove the PDRN entirely, this would still be a genuinely good moisturizer. I feel like sometimes brands become so obsessed with one hero ingredient that the actual user experience starts to feel kind of like secondary, like they don't really care. Whereas this feels like a moisturizer designed for skin that's stressed, dehydrated, overexfoliated, compromised, post-treatment, all of that kind of stuff. And as I mentioned, I have used this time and time again. There are two brands I use now when my skin is really, really, truly destroyed, and this is one of them. I love that this doesn't feel like a pharmaceutical fixing cream, you know? It feels like a pleasure to use. The texture especially feels very Korean pharmacy skincare to me. It has that elegant gel cream texture Korean brands do so well. It feels super lightweight but moisturizing enough to feel like it's not just drying down on the skin. And I like this as somebody with combo skin as well, combination skin, that Korean skincare approach of well aging through hydration, skin comfort, supporting the skin barrier consistently over time. And I think that philosophy is probably why these products resonate with so many people, why they did go so viral, like so viral. It's hard to go viral, truly viral on TikTok nowadays, but they're still going viral. But the product I've been using non-stop recently is the Copper Peptide Serum. You may notice that it's not massively empty. You'll see here. But that's because they actually sent me lab samples, so I'll use them up first. This one's going to be my travel one, and then I've been using this. Copper Peptides is one of those really good, well-studied skincare ingredients that skincare enthusiasts have loved for a long, long time. But I feel like it's only going viral and people are only really realizing what peptides are, what ones are good, what ones are not so good. But I do feel like copper peptides are finally getting their moment to shine a little bit more recently. Most people already know peptides are generally considered good for the skin. Peptides mainly work by sending signals to the skin that help support overall skin conditioning and healthy looking skin. Copper peptides are one of the few skincare ingredients that actually have some really interesting research behind them. Now, regular peptides, shall we say, are already useful ingredients in skincare. Peptides just refer to short chains of amino acids, and different peptides essentially do different things, and that's why you usually see them all formulated together. Some are used to help support collagen production, some help improve hydration, elasticity, and others are designed to help support the skin barrier. Now, if I get this right, copper tripeptides, usually called GHKCU, are a specific peptide complex made from 3 amino acids bound to a copper ion. That's right, I'll fact check that, but that's right. If it's in the video, it's correct. That's why copper peptides are often associated with healthier looking, more resilient skin. They're also interesting because they seem to have anti-inflammatory and antioxidant properties too, which is why a lot of people like using them when their skin feels stressed or overly compromised in any way. Now, I do think social media sometimes oversells copper peptides as this miracle ingredient, and the reality is they're still a supportive skincare ingredient. But compared to a lot of trendy skincare ingredients that go viral online for no reason, copper peptides are genuinely one of the more science-backed peptide ingredients that we currently have. So they're not necessarily better than other peptides, but they definitely focus more on skin repair and regeneration compared to many of the other standard cosmetic peptides. But also the thing with peptides is they're hard to formulate with. Apparently they can be a little bit difficult. They oxidize very easily. They can become unstable. Sometimes they develop that weird like metallic smell over time. Not naming names, but I've definitely used copper peptide serums from other brands that smell like pennies. They're that like blood metallic smell, and it just completely puts you off. So when Dr. Reju-All was talking about encapsulation technology for their copper peptides, I was relieved, shall we say? But they're basically trying to protect the ingredient from destabilizing over time while maintaining the overall experience and formula and helping preserve that 99% purity level more consistently as well. Because when you look at the formula, which I'm looking at it now, it feels very kind of thoughtfully built around skin recovery and long-term skin quality rather than that instant gratification for an algorithm. You know, I think there are a lot of peptide products on TikTok Shop at the moment that look nice. Do they perform? I don't know. You got copper tripeptide 1 alongside multiple other peptides, niacinamide, beta-glucan, panthenol, allantoin, sodium PCA. Even the blue color comes from guanidine, which is known for its soothing properties rather than the formula just being dyed blue for fun, with that very classic lightweight gel serum texture. Light hydrating, layers very, very nicely, doesn't feel sticky or heavy. I love the instant glow that this gives your skin. What I will say is this shows up very, very nicely. I hate it when I have this serum, right? And I put a serum on and it makes your skin look so glowy and dewy. And then you put your moisturizer on, it kind of dulls that shine. This serum glows through your moisturizer, especially when you're using the Dr.Reju-All one together. Whenever I see little capsules as well, I worry. I do worry that they're going to be like a little bit plasticky. They're not really going to like pop on my skin. They're going to get caught in my beard and I'm going to be walking around with weird bits on my face, like little blue bits. These don't even like pop. You can't even feel them. They just kind of like melt the moment you touch them and rub them. And then you team that with a PDRN. It's actually a really nice, unique pair, which I haven't seen a lot of K-beauty brands do. I don't think I've seen any K-beauty brands do that at the moment, actually. So we're combining two ingredients that are becoming increasingly popular in the well-aging skincare space, that PDRN and copper peptides, that repair-focused approach with the PDRN helping to support skin recovery, healthier looking, more resilient skin than the copper peptides, specifically the GHKCU, help with skin firmness and overall skin repair over time too. And what I actually love about this formula, copper peptides generally, is that they've always had this reputation of focusing on long-term skin quality and supporting skin as it changes over time. That's where my skin is right now. If we're going to put it very simply, it's maturing. That's more realistic to me, right? It makes me trust the brand, the product and the process a lot more than think it's going to perform some miracles overnight. This is about the long game and Dr.Reju will know that, which I really appreciate. I think that connects perfectly to why Korean pharmacy skincare became so popular now, specifically, because I think people, as I mentioned, are exhausted by the extremes in skincare. People still want glow, they want that firmness, healthy looking skin, obviously, but I think there's less interest now in skincare that feels aggressive and performative all the time. And maybe that's why this whole pharmacy skincare category resonated so strongly online, because the products feel, I guess you could say, calmer. There's something more mature about them, but still super effective and supportive. More focused on keeping skin functioning well rather than constantly trying to force dramatic change overnight. And in my opinion, I think that's probably a healthier direction for skincare overall. And I hope other brands can take a look at Dr.Reju-All's philosophy and brand tactics and ethos, and like Dr.Reju-All, put our skin first rather than just digging at our wallets a little bit more. So yes, I'm definitely focused on supporting brands nowadays that kind of fit with my skincare philosophy a lot more, especially as it changes over time. There's a lot of gimmicky ingredients around, and we know injectables are different to topicals. We don't need to be taught that anymore, but there is some good science behind a lot of these skincare ingredients. It's just whether the brand can actually make use of those ingredients or not. And I feel like Dr.Reju will do a great job at this. I will link these products in the description box down below. Thank you again to Dr.Reju-All for sponsoring today's video. Hopefully I will see you next time.